It was supposed to be a short drive. Just another quiet night in rural Minnesota, the kind where nothing ever happens and the roads stretch endlessly through farmland and darkness. Brandon Swanson was 19 years old, a college student home for the weekend, driving alone after celebrating the end of the semester with friends. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't running from anyone. He simply took a wrong turn. And that was enough. Around midnight on May 14, 2008, Brandon was driving near Lind, Minnesota, heading back toward his parents' home. At some point he became confused about his location. The rural road network in that area is a maze of gravel roads, ditches and unmarked intersections, especially at night. Brandon believed he was near the town of Lind. In reality he was miles away. Then his car slid into a ditch. The vehicle wasn't badly damaged. Brandon wasn't injured. He stepped out, assessed the situation and did what most people would do. He called his parents. The call connected. He calmly explained that he had gone off the road and needed help. His parents, Brian and Annette Swanson, got into their car immediately and began driving toward the area Brandon believed he was in. Brandon stayed on the phone with them. This is where the case becomes unsettling. Because for the next 45 minutes, Brandon Swanson was alive, conscious, talking, walking, and describing his surroundings in real time. And then he vanished. Brandon believed he could see lights in the distance and assumed they were from Lind. He told his parents he would walk toward them while staying on the phone. The night was quiet. No traffic. No people. Just fields, roads, and darkness. As Brandon walked, his parents drove, trying to find him by following his descriptions. They asked him what he could see. He mentioned fences, fields, gravel roads. At one point they believed they were close enough to see him. They weren't. At several moments, Brandon told his parents he could see their headlights. They could not see him. They honked. He did not hear it. He waved. They did not see it. Something was wrong. Still, the call continued. Brandon's parents asked him to stay put. He insisted he was close. He said he could see a town. He said he could hear water. He said he was walking through fields. The phone line remained open the entire time. No dropped call. No interference. No panic. Then, suddenly, Brandon said 2 words. "Oh shit." And the line went dead. There was no scream. No struggle. No sound of water. No sound of impact. Just silence. His parents called back immediately. No answer. They drove the area for hours, calling his phone again and again. It went straight to voicemail. As the sun rose, panic set in. Law enforcement was contacted, and one of the largest search operations in the region began. But there was a problem. Brandon Swanson had not disappeared from a wilderness trail, a mountain, or a dense forest. He vanished from flat farmland. Search teams combed the area where Brandon's phone last pinged. They searched fields, ditches, roads, culverts, streams, and abandoned structures. They brought in dogs, helicopters, and volunteers. Nothing. No footprints. No torn clothing. No phone. No body. No sign that he had fallen, been struck, or taken. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Nothing was found. Investigators later discovered that Brandon had been wrong about his location. He wasn't near Lind at all. He was approximately 25 miles away, near Porter, Minnesota. His phone records confirmed it. That discovery should have helped. Instead, it made everything worse. Because the area around Porter was searched extensively too. And again, nothing was found. One theory suggested Brandon may have fallen into the Yellow Medicine River. Another proposed he could have slipped into a drainage ditch or culvert. Some speculated he may have been struck by a vehicle. Others suggested foul play. But every theory ran into the same wall. There was no evidence. No witnesses. No physical trace. No explanation that fit the facts. If Brandon had drowned, his body should have surfaced. If he had been struck, there should have been debris or reports. If he had collapsed from exposure, searchers should have found him. Yet the land gave nothing back. His phone was never recovered. His remains were never located. His final words were never explained. And then there is the call itself. 45 minutes is a long time to stay connected on a rural cell network in 2008. Long enough to hear something. long enough for something to register. But there was only that single phrase. "Oh shit." Those words haunt the case. Were they spoken in fear? In surprise? In realization? Did Brandon see something? Did he step into something? Did he fall? Did he encounter water, a ditch, or an unseen drop? Or did something else happen entirely? Searchers later found evidence that Brandon may have crossed multiple properties, fences, and uneven terrain while walking. It is possible he fell into a hidden ditch or culvert obscured by tall grass. But again, nothing was found. Not even after years. Brandon Swanson became one of those cases that refused to resolve. Not because of complexity but because of absence. There is no crime scene. No final location. No moment you can point to and say, "This is where it happened." He simply walked out of the map. His parents never stopped searching. His mother has spoken openly about the pain of knowing he was alive, talking, and close enough to hear her voice, yet unreachable. There is something uniquely disturbing about disappearances like this. Not deep wilderness. Not extreme conditions. Not isolation. Just a young man walking through familiar land, talking to his parents, until the world quietly erased him. Brandon Swanson did not vanish into legend or myth. He vanished into normalcy. A road. A field. A phone call. A final sentence. And what makes this case even more unsettling is that it is not unique. Because years before Brandon Swanson, in another place that seemed just as ordinary, another boy vanished while surrounded by people searching for him. A child who stepped off a trail. A voice that called out. A disappearance that left nothing behind. And just like Brandon, he was never found. It was June 14, 1969, a warm afternoon in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, one of the most visited and well-mapped national parks in the United States. Dennis was on a family hiking trip with his father, grandfather, and several other relatives. The trail was familiar, clearly marked, and filled with other hikers that day. This was not remote wilderness. This was a national park full of people. At one point along the trail, Dennis and his brother decided to play a harmless game. They planned to hide behind bushes and scare the adults as they walked past. His brother hid first. Dennis followed a moment later. But Dennis never came back. When the adults passed the hiding spot, only one child jumped out laughing. Dennis was gone. At first, no one panicked. They assumed he was hiding nearby, maybe waiting a little longer for the perfect moment. His father called out his name. No response. They searched the immediate area. Still nothing. Minutes passed. Then more. The mood changed. Dennis had vanished within seconds. There were no screams. No sound of running. No signs of a struggle. Just a child who stepped off a trail and disappeared. Park rangers were alerted almost immediately. What followed became one of the largest search operations in U.S. history at that time. More than 1,400 people participated. Search teams included park rangers, local volunteers, Green Berets from Fort Bragg, state troopers, and even psychic consultants. Helicopters scanned from above. Bloodhounds were brought in. The terrain was searched repeatedly, inch by inch. Nothing. No footprints. No clothing. No scent trail that led anywhere meaningful. One dog tracked Dennis's scent to a dirt road and then stopped. As if the trail simply ended. Over the following days, searchers scoured caves, ravines, streams, and dense forest. They climbed steep slopes and crawled through undergrowth. Some searchers reported hearing strange noises in the distance, including what they believed could have been a child crying, but these reports were never confirmed. Then came one of the most disturbing details of the case. Several experienced trackers reported finding evidence that suggested something large had moved through the area shortly after Dennis disappeared. Broken branches, disturbed ground, marks that some believed were consistent with a large animal, possibly a bear. This led to an official theory. Dennis had been taken by a wild animal. But the theory didn't hold. There was no blood, no torn clothing, no remains, no confirmed animal tracks leading away. Experts later stated that if a bear or other predator had attacked Dennis, there would have been clear physical evidence. There was none. Another theory suggested Dennis could have wandered off and succumbed to exposure. But again, the scale of the search made this unlikely. Children leave signs. Clothing. Something. Dennis left nothing. As days turned into weeks, hope faded. The search was eventually called off. Dennis Martin was declared lost to the mountains. But questions never stopped. Years later, new details emerged that only deepened the mystery. Some witnesses claimed they saw a man carrying something over his shoulder in the area shortly after Dennis vanished. Others reported hearing strange sounds. These leads were investigated but never confirmed. The FBI briefly became involved. No arrests were made. No suspects were named. No conclusions were reached. Dennis Martin disappeared from a crowded hiking trail in broad daylight. Just like Brandon Swanson, he vanished while people were nearby. Just like Brandon, there was no clear point of failure. Just like Brandon, the land refused to give him back. And this is where the two cases quietly intersect. Different decades, different ages, different locations, but the same pattern. A final moment of normalcy, a sudden absence, an environment that should not allow someone to vanish completely. Brandon Swanson disappeared while walking through open farmland, talking on the phone, his voice traveling through the night. Dennis Martin disappeared within arm's reach of family, surrounded by hikers, in one of the most monitored parks in the country. Both cases triggered massive searches. Both cases involved experienced professionals. Both cases produced no answers, no bodies, no final locations, no explanations that fully work. They didn't vanish into myth. They vanished into places we trust. Roads, trails, parks, familiar terrain. Places where we believe disappearance is impossible. And that is what makes these cases so unsettling. Because if people can vanish here, in mapped areas, in known locations, with witnesses nearby, then the boundary between safety and the unknown is thinner than we think. These cases don't ask us to fear the wilderness. They ask us to question certainty, to question how well we truly understand the spaces we move through every day. Brandon Swanson took a wrong turn and never finished his walk. Dennis Martin stepped off a trail and never stepped back. 2 lives, 2 vanishings, 1 haunting truth. Sometimes people don't disappear because the world is dangerous. They disappear because it is silent. If you found this story compelling, disturbing, or thought-provoking, consider supporting the channel. Like the video, subscribe for more deep investigations into real disappearances, and share this story so these names are never forgotten. Because the unanswered deserve to be remembered, and the silence should never be the end.